Good morning, this is your Math Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and this is the second video on the test review, and this will be problems 5 through 9. This will be problems 5 through 9, which is solving equations. And we're going to use Desmos to help us out. So in this case, if I want to put this into Desmos, I'm going to have to rewrite it. So I have -6 plus n over 3 squiggle, because replace the letters with replace the variables with an n and replace the equal sign with a squiggle. So I'm going to switch over. We'll take a look at the Desmos, type that in real quickly, or maybe not quickly, but we'll get it in there. So we have -6 plus r/3, arrow one space. There we go. Squiggle, -8. And we end up getting r. Oh, that's not supposed to be an r. That's supposed to be an n. Excuse me. N is -6. I guess it worked this time for an R, but it certainly doesn't always do that. So in this case, we get our answer is N equals -6. I'm going to stop that share real quickly. So N equals -6, and I can go ahead and write my answer. R equals -6. And that looks great. Hey, we're done. Except you're not going to get any credit for just having the answer. Now you need to go back and show your work. All right, so I'm going to show my work, and the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Because if we go to the checklist, we move constants in this. If it's a number next to a variable is a coefficient. We do constants before we do coefficients. So now we have r over 3 equals -8. Oh, excuse me. -8 plus 6 equals -2. All right. Well, this fraction line is dividing this by 3. Well, we undo division by multiplication, so we're going to multiply both sides by 3. This goes away, and we end up with r equals -6. So final answer is r equals -6, and now we've shown all of our work, and we'll get full credit for that. Okay, so the next one, we're going to rewrite so that it'll work for Desmos, and when we rewrite it, it's going to be -5 parentheses 1 minus 5n plus 5 parentheses -8n minus 2 equals -4n minus 8n. Now we can't use the equal signs. We have to replace that with the squiggle. So make sure you're using a squiggle there. All right, I'm going to switch back over. And let's see if we can get this next one in. We have -5 parentheses 1 minus 5n close parentheses plus 5 parentheses -8n minus 2 squiggle -4n minus 8n. All right, let me check to make sure I have that all typed in there right. It looks like I do, and I come up with n equals -5. So n equals -5. We can stop our share and switch back. So I've written down n equals -5. We're really working with an x, so we're going to write x equals -5. Now, we need to solve this to get credit. So we're going to have to show our work, and this is kind of a long one. So we're going to have to use distributive property first because we have parentheses. So this is going to be 5 times 1, so this is -5. 5 times 5 is 25, but a negative times a negative is a positive, so we have 25n. 5 times -8, that gives me a -40. And 5 times 2 gives me a -10. All right, -4n minus 8n. Next thing is combine like terms. Well, it looks like I have a lot of like terms. So I can combine the -5 and the -10. That gives me -15. I can combine 25 and 40. That gives me a -15n. On this side, I can combine the 4n and the 8n, and this gives me -12n. Please remember, I always like putting variables on the left. So we're going to move this 12n to the other side. Now this gets a little bit weird. Plus 12n plus 12n. So this side right now equals 0, and this side is going to be -15, and this becomes -3n, because 15 plus 12, the signs are different. Subtract the number and keep the sign of the larger. All right, now we need to move our constant. So I need to get this variable by itself, so I need to move the 15 to the other side. So I'm going to add 15 to both sides. Now I have -3n equals 15. I can divide both sides by -3 by the coefficient, because remember, this is essentially being multiplied, so undo multiplication through division, and we end up with 1n equals -5, or n equals -5. And that's our work shown for that one. All right, the next one, once again, we're going to go ahead and drop this into Desmos. So to do that, I need to rewrite this. And when I rewrite this, it's going to look like this. 5 parentheses 2n plus 6, squiggle, -4 parentheses -5, -2n plus 3n. All right, so moving over to Desmos. And we have 5 parentheses, oops, 2n plus 6, -4 parentheses, -5 minus 2n plus 3n. And I end up getting n equals 10. And we're going to swap back or try to. All right, so we have n equals 10. So, but we're really working with x's. So we're going to write x equals 10. But now that we've got the answer, we need to work through this to solve it. So 5 times 2, we have to distribute to get rid of our distributed property. 5 times 2 is 10, so we have 10n. 5 times 6 is 30. So we have 10n plus 30. Now I need to distribute. And this is equals 4 times 5 is 20, and negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 2 is 8. So, and a negative times a negative is a positive. All right, so we've distributed. Now we need to combine like terms. There's nothing to combine on this side, so we can just copy it down. That's nice, makes it quick. Over here, we can combine the 8n and the 3n. So this is 20 plus, and then 8n plus 3n is 11n. Remember, we always want variables on the left, so I need to move this 11n to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 11n. This goes away, and I have -1n plus 30 equals 20. At this point, I need to move my constants away from the variable, so I need to move this 30. So I'm going to do that by subtracting 30. This goes away and becomes 0. So now I have -1n equals -10. Can't stop until this is a positive 1, so I have to divide. And here's why I'm dividing. This is essentially -1 times n. So when I do that, I end up getting n equals 10. All right, so we've shown our work. We'll get full credit for that. Okay, moving on to problems 8 and problems 9. So, problem 8. Again, we're going to drop this into Desmos, but we need to write it for that. So this is going to be 2n plus 6 plus 3 squiggle 17 minus 2n. So moving back to Desmos and 2n plus 6 plus 3. All right, when I did it, I ended up getting n equals 2. So we'll come back over. Instead of n, we're working with x, so we need to write x equals 2. Now we need to validate this by showing our work. Well, I don't have any parentheses this time. So since I don't have any parentheses, I can combine like terms. So I combine the 6 and the 3 on this side, and I have 2n plus 9 equals 17 minus 2n. All right, we always want variables on the left in this class. So we're going to move this 2n to the other side. So the opposite of negative 2n is a positive 2n because we're always doing the inverse operation. Oops, should not have marked through that. That becomes 4n. This one becomes 0. So 4n plus 9 equals 17. The next thing I need to do is move my constants. I have two of them, 9 and 17, but I need to move away from the variable. So minus 9. So 4n equals, in this case, 8. Divide by the coefficient because essentially this is multiplying. So this becomes n equals 2, or 1n equals 2. So our final answer is x equals 2. Okay, this next one, there's a couple different ways to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and distribute this time. But first off, let's plug this into Desmos. So we're going to have negative 1/2 parenthesis 16 minus 12x equals negative 44. So switching over. We have negative 1 divided by 2, parenthesis 16 minus 12n, squiggle, negative 44. And I get n is negative 6. All right, I got a couple things I need to fix. So over here, I wrote x, and I should have put an n, so I'm going to put that in red. That should be an n, and this should not be an equal. This should be the squiggle. Some of you are probably hollering at me. All right, so there we go. We got n equals 6, but we're working with x's, so we're going to write x equals negative 6. And we're going to go ahead and solve this thing. Well, I need to distribute. Now, I'm going to do this on a calculator, but you could have, it'll work on Desmos as well. I'm taking this negative 1/2 and I'm going to distribute it across. The best thing to do is put that in parentheses. So going back to the calculator, parentheses, negative 1 divided by 2 times 16. So put the 16 in parentheses. And we get negative 8. So this times this gives me negative 8. And I need to take the negative 1/2 and multiply it by this negative 12. So parentheses, negative 1 divided by 2, close the parentheses, and negative 1, 2. And we get 6. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so that kind of makes sense. All right, all my variables are on one side, so I just need to move this constant because I want to move it away from my variable because the goal is to isolate the variable. So I have 6n equals, this will become a negative 36. All right, this is essentially 6 times n, so to undo multiplication, I have to divide. So this becomes 1n equals negative 6. So n equals negative 6. And we know that we're dealing with x's. All right, this concludes the second video. I sure hope it helped. And I think you understand, hopefully you understand that you can use Desmos to get your answers, but you have to show your work. All right, look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.